Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm your instructor today, and I will discuss the shafting installation on ships. So shafting installation. So we have here the oil shaft sail and stern tube bearing, including their components. So uh, we'll describe some of the installations, equipment, constructing shafting, and we will describe also the details of oil shaft and a stern tube bearing, including their components. So I'll describe also the following installation equipment constructing shafting. So we have the propeller, the rope guard, stern tube. We have the stern tube bearing, shaft sail. We have the propeller shaft, intermediate shaft, up bearing, plumber block, and thrust bearing. So all of this we will discuss. So we have here the general profile of the ship. So ship propulsion. So as you can see here, there is a propeller, and there's an engine. So engine is located here inside the engine room here, and this propeller shaft is installed all the way there. So this one is installed there. So this is the propeller, and this is the propeller, and this is your rudder. So this is your whole ship. So this is the bridge here, the forward mast. So we will proceed. So we have also here the indicators: ship speed, propeller speed, ship power, trim and drop. So hail and drop. So this is your general profile, a profile of your ship. So here we have stern tube. So a stern tube is a hollow tube that runs through the bottom of the ship from the main engine to the propeller. So the ship's tail shaft or propeller shaft, which transfer power from the main engine, runs inside the stern tube and connects to the propeller. So in addition, the stern tube is only piece that connects the propellers to the ship. So propellers can weigh thousands of pounds, meaning stern tube needs to be sturdy enough to support the propeller's weight. So it is designed and manufactured with enough precision to keep water from leaking into the ship stern. So not leaking, not leak. So we'll proceed. So we have here, so the stern tube of a ship. So this is dismantled. So has a peculiar shape and arrangement for carrying a propeller shaft. So as the shape of the ship is streamlined at the end, so there is a very little space to accommodate the propeller shaft arrangement. So the stern tube is situated at the peak, seated at the up peak of the ship's hull, and the propeller shaft arrangement is also situated. So at the same level. So the forward end of the stern tube is supported by the apex bulkhead, and the end of the stern tube gets its support from the stern frame and of the ship. So throughout the length, the shaft is supported by specially designed brackets and narrow floors inside the stern tube. So we have here the water lubricated bearings. So this is being lubricated by the water. So cast iron, this material, cast iron tube, brass, bronze boss, this one. We have lignum vitae, and water channel. So this is water, the green, this one, and bronze liner. So this one. So this is water lubricated bearings, stern tube. So we have here water lubricated stern tube. So the stern tube is normally constructed of cast iron or iron. So it's slightly larger at the forward end of end to is removal. So the forward end is flanged and bolted to tubular plates tipping apex bulkhead. Forward end is supplied with the stopping box, and gland. So the after end with the bearing comprising lignum vitae. So stubs or similar. So is dovetailed into a brass boss. So the wood is machined and cut on in grain. So example, the stubs in the lower bearing area are cut. So we'll read first this statement. So and pitted in such a way that the grain is vertical, is to facilitate better life, and stubs at the top part are cut with the grain in the axial direction for economy. So the bearing can be lined with the lignum vitae rubber composition, so cutlass rubber or an approved plastic material. Certain plastic possess good bearing properties, being inert and very tolerant of slow speed boundary lubrication conditions. Cressley, resin, banded asbestos such as Rilco. So uh, give a good result in condition of heavy water contamination and lubricating oil, almost 100%. So for water lubricated bearing, not less than 4 times the diameter of the steel shaft. So if the bearing is covered to 80 millimeter diameter, forced water lubrication must be used. A circulating pump or source with a water flow indicator. So shaft is withdrawn for examination every 3 months. So we have here the water lubricated stern tube. So as you can see here, this is the construction of your stern tube. So you have here the lignum vitae, O-ring seal, you have bronze boss. So as I showed you a while ago, so brass boss, so bulkhead, this is bulkhead. So cast iron gland hubs, water overpress feed here, so chain rake, propeller boss, so lock nuts. So this is the construction of the water lubricated bearings. Construction of water lubricated bearings. Cinch of seawater lubricated. So as you can see here, this is seawater is injected to this stern tube. So this is stern tube nut here. So we have the propeller boss here. So the propeller is connected here. And you have the bronze liner here. You have the propeller shaft. So stern tube, this is stern tube. This is bulkhead. Stern frame boss. Water gauge here. So this is being open during the inspection every 3 months. So photo gauge if this stern tube is still aligned, still in the tolerance alignment. So there is what we call the wear down gauge on the ship that is used during dry dock. So it is put here. So this is your stern tube, seawater lubricated or water lubricated. So bearing placement on a stern tube. So to function properly, a ship's steel shaft must be lubricated typically. So ships have lubricating system consisting of header tanks. So later on you can see positioned between 6 to 9 feet above the water line. Above the water line to create pressure that allows the lubricant to flow into the tube. So because lubrication is so vital, So a ship's ability to generate thrust, it's important that nothing reduces its effectiveness. So naturally, water is thinner than the lubricant. So sealing the connection between the stern tube and the propeller is essential. So this is accomplished by using stern tube bearings. So here, as you can see here, you have lubricating oil tank, and so this is also different system, but normally there is a lubricating oil tank higher. So here you have a pump, because you have a pressure pump. So it is injected with the oil here to counteract the pressure of the. So this is your up seal and this is your forward seal. So this is forward seal is located uh, at the engine room, and your up seal is located inside the uh, near in the rudder trunk. So you have a rudder here. So uh, this is your propeller shaft. So you can see here. So this is up seal. So this is injected with the oil to some oil and some also fresh water. Here is injected with the fresh water. So you have pressure of your fresh water here. See, you have here a fresh water tank. So to counteract the pressure of the seawater here. So to push here the seal, and at the same time also you have also here the pressure of your oil. So to counteract the pressure here. So you have double seal. Some are system are there is an air supply also, air supply, but here there is a water supply and the pressure of the oil. So this is the system of your stern tube, but the other system there is also there is no pressure pump, but there is what we call the header tank on top, higher. So to give pressure here in the seal, so to counteract the pressure of the seawater. So let us proceed. So stern tube bearings serve two main functions: to properly connect the propeller to the ship, to keep water from leaking into the stern tube and lubricant from leaking out. And there are three types of stern tube bearing arrangements that are used to accomplish these goals. So stopping box, which uses packing material to seal the area. So we have also lip seals, which are connected to the tail shaft to prevent lubricant or water from passing to the shaft. So radial face seals, which are supported with specially fitted springs around the shaft. So up bulkheads are near the back end of the stern tube. So let us proceed. So we have here oil lubricated. So as I discussed a while ago, it is water lubricated. But we have also here the oil lubricated bearings. So we have here the gravity tank. So this is I told you a while ago, there is a gravity tank or header tank. So this is oil lubricated bearings. So as you can see here, you have the up seal and you have the forward seal. So this is located outside the engine room, and this is located inside the engine room. So as you can see here, you have also drain valve here to drain the oil during the maintenance, change oil during dry dock. So you have the gravity tank, and you have also the manual or motorized pump here. So it can be so you have your motorized pump is suck oil from your gravity tank here. So the gravity, the oil is feeding here to the pump, the oil pump, and it is discharged to the stern tube. So it is again circulate here and go back to the gravity tank. So this is the system of oil lubricated bearings, stern tube. So we have oil lubricated bearings. If outboard seal leaks, the following steps are to be taken. So fresh water in gravity tank to emulsify and coagulate. So So oil pump around the system to seal and lubricated. So recharge with high viscosity oil. So disconnect oil supply line and reconnect to 45 gallon drum, which is supposed by block and tackle in order to give a variable head. So by raising and lowering the drum, so the oil pressure in the system can be made to match the water pressure on the outside. So taking into account the difference in gravities. So I'll proceed. So we have here the oil lubricated stern tube, as you can see. Typical oil lubricated stern tube bearing. So this is your stern tube. So this is your bearing shield here. This one. So this is the construction of the oil lubricated stern tube. So we have also simplex. So a lot of types of stern tube system. So simplex shaft seal. So as you can see here, this is your propeller burst and this is your probe liner. So this is forward casing cover. This is your casing. This is your intermediate piece. So removable wear down gauge. So this is I told you a while ago. So this is your propeller shaft. So this is wear down gauge. So this wear down gauge is located in chief engineer cabin. So during dry docking, this wear down gauge is being used. So this plug here to be open and this wear down gauge is put like this, as you can see. So to measure the alignment of the propeller shaft. So here, so if it should be inside the tolerance. So plus and minus value. So it should be inside there. So if not, if it is being misaligned too much, it's not inside the range. So the propeller shaft should be overhauled, should be pulled out, and the bearing should be replaced with new spares, as well as the seals. So this is the use of the wear down gauge. So we have here the ship propellers. So introduction. So a rotating propeller sucks water into itself and discharges it in well-defined streams immediately behind the propeller. So this action results in an increase in the fluid pressure due to the rotation of the blades. So the effect of this is to increase the velocity of the mass of the water in the slipstream. So the change of the momentum in this mass provide the propeller thrust. So the propeller is turned by propulsion machinery. So this is being turned by the engine. So propulsion machinery, the main engine. So this, as you are familiar with the electric fan. So the fan of the electric fan will suck air at the back and will discharge forward. So that's why you have a pressure of air you can feel in the electric fan. So it will become cold in your air, in your the air will discharge towards you. So in here, so that is the same principle. So the air is being sucked at the back of the fan of the electric fan and it will discharge towards you. But here, as the propeller rotates, because of the pitch of the propeller. So it will create thrust. So that thrust will move the ship. So that is the ship propeller. So as you can see here, so screw propellers, basic nomenclature. So you have here direction of revolution here. So leading edge. So this face of the propeller, trailing edge of the propeller, the tip. So this is propeller axis, boss cap, this one. And this is the boss of the propeller. So this is the blade. So this is important also to you to familiarize as a student. So we have here types of screw propeller pitch. So generally screw propeller pitch are of two types, fixed propeller or APP or pitch propeller APP or uncontrollable or variable pitch propeller CPP. So APP consists of a fixed blade. So this means that the position of the blades cannot be changed. On a contrary, CPP can move its blade in the desired position by changing the pitch of the blades. So this APP fixed pitch propeller, as you can see, this is built in or welded in this boss, propeller boss. But here, this is not welded, but this is bolted. And there is a provision here. There is a construction, a design, which is the pitch, the propeller can be rotated. So that is controllable pitch propeller. So that is pitch. So pitch, I will explain what is pitch. So pitch is a distance traveled by the what we call the vessel in one revolution of the propeller. So a pitch is a distance traveled of the ship by one revolution of the propeller. So that is pitch. So you can control the pitch in the CPP, which is CPP, controllable pitch propeller, but you cannot control the fixed pitch propeller. It is fixed. It is fixed pitch. So that is EPP and CPP. So we have here. So this is in the EPP, the power generated by the engine, the propulses produced by the propeller cannot be controlled. So this leads to high amount of power wastage and increased stresses on the propeller. But in a CPP, all this can be prevented by just changing the pitch of the propeller. So this function of the CPP makes an integral part of the propulsion system of the ship. So this is CPP. So a unique aspect of the CPP is that the propeller rotates in one direction. Unlike the EPP, thus there is no need of a reverse clutch, which is an integral part the EPP for producing reverse thrust in case of the ship needs braking or reversing. So in the EPP, the EPP fixed pitch propeller, you need to have a reversing of the engine. So engine should be reversed. So we have here also right hand and left handed propeller. So this is installed in submarine, installed also in tugboat, as well as the small ships. So a right-handed propeller rotates clockwise when propelling a vessel forward, as viewed from the astern of the ship. So a left-handed propeller rotates counterclockwise as viewed from the stern. So when a forward propulsion. So as you can see here, this is uh, twin propellers. So twin engine. So there is two engine. So you cannot change side now. So this is left-handed. As you can see, the propeller this is left-handed. So this is turning so turning left-handed turning counterclockwise like this, and this is right-handed turning counterclockwise. So if twin propellers, it should be turning left-handed and right-handed, or clockwise and counterclockwise, so that the vessel can be properly maneuvered and can run straight. So if the same left-handed, so the vessel cannot run straight forward. So it should be opposite direction if it is twin propeller. So we have also right and left-handed head propellers. So when viewing, so it is the same. Propeller from astern, the leading edge of the blades will always be farther away from you than the trailing edge. So the propeller rotates. So clockwise, and it is handed, right-handed if it is leading edge. So are on the right. So propeller handedness is fixed. So a right-handed propeller can never be exchanged with the left-handed propeller and vice versa. So most single screw builds have right-handed propeller, and the clockwise rotating propeller shaft as viewed from astern. So here, this is a right-handed propeller. So view from astern. So this is astern here. So we have also here right-handed continuation, right and left-handed propellers. Single propellers tend to naturally push the vessel to one side when going forward, and the opposite side when in reverse. So example, a right-handed propeller will push the astern to starboard when in forward, and port when in reverse. So since propellers are not ideally designed for reverse propulsion, so this effect is somewhat exaggerated when operating a single screw propeller in reverse. So twin screw vessels have counter-rotating propellers with identical specification. So the port left side propeller is usually left-handed. So here, this is left-handed, and the starboard side propeller is right-handed. So this is right-handed. So starboard side propeller here is turning counterclockwise. Clockwise, and port side propeller here is turning counterclockwise. So this is left-handed and left-handed. So we have also here the skewed propeller. So this one. So marine propeller hose blades are in the form of scimitars, typically with the tip and one blade aligning radially with the root of the following blade is called skew propeller. So propeller skew is single most effective design parameter which has been significant influence on reducing propeller-induced vibration without sacrificing the efficiency. So this is skew angle, this one. As you can see, skew angle. So this angle here. So skew angle. So skew angle of. So this is 1 degree. Skew angle here. So this is a skewed propeller. So we have also here the highly skewed propeller. So advantages. So reduce interaction between propeller and rudder wake. So reduce vibration and noise. So disadvantage is expensive, less efficient when operating in reverse. This is skewed propellers. So propeller is a rotating fan like, so as I said earlier, so structure which is used to propel the ship by using the power generated and transmitted by main engine of the ship. So the transmitted power is converted from rotational motion to generate thrust, which imparts momentum to water. So resulting in a force that acts on the ship and pushes it forward. So thrust. Types of propeller. So those are classified as the basis of several factors. Classification of different types of propellers is shown below. So classification of number of blades attached. So we have propeller blades may be varied 3-blade. We have also propeller to 4-blade, propeller, and sometimes 5-blade. So propeller. However, the most commonly used is 3 blades and 4 blades propellers. So we have here 3-blade propeller. Manufacturing cost is lower than types, so are normally made up of aluminum alloy. So gives a good high speed performance. The acceleration is better than the other types. So low speed handling is not much efficient. So we have also here 4-blade propeller. So the manufacturing cost is higher than 3-blade propeller. So have better strength. So and durability gives a good low speed handling and performance. So has a better holding power in a rough seas. So 4-wheel propellers provides a better fuel economy than all other types. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4-blade propeller. We have also here 5-blade propeller. So manufacturing cost is higher of all. Vibration is minimal for all other types. So 5-blade propellers have better holding power in rough seas. So type of material use. So your propellers are made of aluminum or steel, and both have their advantages and disadvantages. So unlike other propeller features, the choice of material is really more or a matter of preference. So we have here aluminum and steel. So we have also here a choice of aluminum footwears, lower cost, protective coating, lightweight. So it's about 1/2 as much as steel. So satisfactory performance in most situations, less expensive to repair. So choose stainless steel blades for higher performance, repairs closest to brand, new condition. So blade strength prevents flexing under pressure. So blades remain in optimal condition, longer durability, and lower susceptibility to damage. So the production process of the product. So we have here production process of the propeller. So tooling, first the propeller has to be digitalized through the CNC milling and reverse. The propeller is cut into a solid piece of the aluminum. So this creates the tooling. The tooling is a hollow version of the propeller used to inject wax into. This is your propeller. So loose wax process. So so once tooling is completed, it is injected with melted wax. So this is the first stage. It is the loose wax process after the propeller is created in wax. Is dipped several times into ceramic material until thick shell covers the entire wax. So propeller, after the ceramic shell has completely dried, so the wax is melted out and replaced with molten stainless steel. Once the stainless steel has cooled, the shell is removed, so you are left with rough casting of the propeller. So that is your propeller wax loose wash process. You have also finishing the propeller. So once casting is inspected for the propeller dimensions, so it is hand ground with the 3 different grades of sandpaper. So for final process, propeller is placed into the 2-stage surface finishing machine. So this machine gives propeller its reflective finish. So every propeller produced through signature propellers is made with quality craftsmanship. So this that is ensured to give every boat or best performance possible. So the suitable heat treatment process for the product based on its application. So we have here the wax is warmed into 180 degrees and poured into a wax press. So where a machine operator creates a pattern in the shape of the propeller. So then it's dipped 4 more times in a secondary finish that improves thickness. So later on we'll see the picture. So and strength. So in between each piping, dipping, there is another 5-hour dry period. So the pattern is let to dry under high powered pans for 24 hours. So the entire dipping process takes more than 2 days. So the wax pattern can be removed. So each piece is placed in autoclave where the molds are steam heated for 18 minutes at 325 degrees Fahrenheit at 100 psi of pressure. So during the cycle, the wax melts and separates from the shell and is later collected and recycled for future patterns. So the next, so the empty cavity now free. Most of the wax is placed in the burnout furnace. Inside the furnace reach more than 2000 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is too much. So while the molds are in the burned out furnace, an hour-long process, so 500 pounds of stainless steel is melted at 3000 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's the melting temperature of stainless steel. So after the shells are removed from the furnace, the liquid metal is poured inside the cavities from the ladle, so 50 pounds at a time. So the process continues until all 500 pounds of the melted metal are poured. So usually that equates to 24 average propellers or 10 pad or shoes drive props. So shells are then cooled in the carts for about an hour before they are transferred to the cleaning shell. So as you can see here, this is the process of uh, manufacturing the propeller process. So let us proceed to the propeller guard. So what is propeller guard? So a propeller guard is the most important part of the propeller. So the propeller is submerged underwater and has blades or wings like a fan. So propelling the ship in the water, since the propeller is under the surface of the water, so it can happen that rocks and underwater reefs can damage the blades of the propeller. So in order to avoid such damage, the propeller guard needs to be installed. So propeller guards or prop guards, as it is more commonly known as, consist of a steel cage which surrounds the propeller. So the propeller guard freely allows the movement of the propeller and safeguards against rough under parts. So I will show you the picture. So this is your propeller guard. This is your propeller guard. So to guard this propeller, this is your propeller guard. We have also here the long shaft known as the propeller shaft. It's used for connecting the ship's engine and the propeller. So the stern tube is a narrow hole in the hull structure at the rear end, so apex of the propeller, through which the propeller shaft passes and connects the engine and propeller. So as you can see here, this is your propeller. So this is your propeller shaft here, and this is your stern tube system. So stern tube, bearings, and glands. So you have up sail here and you have forward sail here. So this is your combination of the stern tube and your propeller construction. So that is the combination. So this is look-alike. So this is your propeller and this is your ship. This is your stern tube. Whole assembly. And this is your propeller shaft. And this is your stern tube bearing. So that is the construction of your propeller and your stern tube. We have also propeller system, shaft sail, stern tube, sail, inspection notes. So we have forward and up. So this is the construction. So stern tube oil line. So as you can see here, so make sure that this yellow line for stern tube to be clean. So it should be clean. So to avoid damage of your bearing. So this line is fabricated with stainless steel pipe material to increase corrosion resistance of pipe. So prevent rusting, coming, and damage of the seal. So this is a construction of your stern tube system. Components of the propeller shaft. So we have here. So the marine components of the propeller shaft. The marine propeller shaft is divided into three main components. So we have here the thrust shaft, the intermediate shaft, and the tail shaft. So the thrust shaft is primarily shaft emerging out of the engine. So it directly receives the rotational motion of the crankshaft and rotates the maximum velocity in high speed. So as you can see here you have the stern tube. This is your stern tube, and this is your tail shaft here, and this is your intermediate shaft here, and this is your engine. So that is the construction, the combination of the stern tube and the tail shaft, emerging intermediate shaft, and your engine shaft. So this one is the actual photo. So this is your intermediate shaft bearing inside. This is the housing, and this is your intermediate shaft, the propeller shaft. So this is the coupling. So one end is connected to the engine flywheel, and one end is connected to the propeller, so outside the ship. So the thrust blocks are used. So this is thrust blocks primarily to dampen and absorb forces from the rotating propeller shafts. So these forces are redirected into specialized frames that make up the bed of the engine compartment. So the energy in these frames is further distributed into the surface of the hull to the hull girder. So this one is the thrust block. So this is your stern tube and propeller shafts. So stern tube arrangement refers to the manner in which the tail shaft is borne by the stern tube that is located at the up of the vessel. So the stern tube is a hollow horizontal tube that serves as the primary connection between the propellers and the rest of the vessel. So this one. So this is your shape now. So this is your propeller. So this is right-handed propeller as you can see here. So the form of the tip is like this. So this is a right-handed propeller. So this is your stern tube here and here, and this is your propeller shaft. So stern tube and propeller shaft. So this is a general construction. So propeller shaft system. So as you can see here, you have the propeller shaft, tail shaft here, and the stern tube is here. This is stern tube, and you have the top and bottom half bearings. So here, this one here inside the black one. You have bottom half bearing here. So this is aftermost bearing. So intermediate shaft, this one. So journal bearings not always fitted. So independent main thrust block. So you have here the direct drive gear turbine or diesel engine. So it's your main engine. So to drive the propeller ship. So this is stern frame and this is your up bulkhead here. So after pick. So propeller shaft bearings various type. So propeller shaft, tail shaft, the most section of the propulsion shaft and the stern tube in single cross shapes and in the struts of multiple screw shapes which the propeller is fitted, the propulsion shafting continuous system of revolving rods that transmit power and motion. So as you can see picture a while ago. So from the main drive to the propeller, the shaft is supported by an appropriate number of bearings. So shaft bearings, the intermediate shaft, so figure 8.2, so here, this one here, this one, this one. So between the tail shaft and the main engine gearbox or thrust block may be supported in plane, tilting pad, or roller bearings. So the two former types usually have individual oil sumps. So the oil being circulated by a cooler scraper device, the roller bearings are grease lubricated. So the individual oil sumps usually have a cooling water coils or a simple cooling water chamber fitted. So cooling water is provided from a service main connected to the seawater circulating system. So the cooling water passes directly overboard. So here I will show you. So these are your bearings. So there is these are plumber block bearings, plumber blocks, carriage, so one or more. So in this bearing here, there is cooling water. So either seawater or low temperature fresh water bearing. So I will end my discussion now, and please subscribe. Please click subscribe. Please click like and share. Please give a comment, and please don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you will be updated on my next video. So please don't forget to subscribe, click subscribe, and thank you for watching, and see you on my next video.